We'll wait a couple minutes, give people a chance to get in. This is going to be a little bit of a different experience today. We're doing a little bit more of a panel, a discussion type webinar. So we'll be talking about SEO. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot those over. We're going to do a Q&A at the end. We're going to do a little audit in here too. So we'll do a sample kind of 10, 15-minute audit. I don't know if anybody was in our other webinars talking about buyer personas and customer journeys. Now we're going to talk about SEO and how that aligns a little bit. So that should be fun. All right. I think we can go ahead and get started. Let's see here. So I am the host. I'm the other guy. With me today, I have Brad and Ryan. They both work at Pick. They're our SEO experts. Everybody at Pick knows SEO at a foundational level. I've been working with SEO for years, but these are the two that geek out over SEO and they live it and learn it every day. They're on the cutting edge. So Brad, Ryan, I'll give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves.
All right, I'm Brad Gerlach. I'm one of the partners, and as Rob said, SEO here at Pick. I've been doing SEO. I was trying to think about this today. I think it's been about 20 years or so. I've been doing SEO, starting with my own personal blog many years ago, and then bringing that to our clients here at Pick.
My name's Ryan, Ryan York. I've been doing SEO probably 10 years now or so. I had a different job and I built their website, and then I just started playing around with SEO for that. Got into like affiliate sites, playing around with all that kind of stuff. And now I'm the SEO specialist at Pick. Love AI now, really into AI and SEO, but yep.
All right. We'll talk a little bit about AI here in a minute. So you guys have been in SEO for a while. Give us a little bit of an idea when you came into the SEO world. Where was SEO at when you guys entered it, and then what are some of the biggest impacts that you've seen? Ryan, you go first.
Yeah, I think when I first started, it was, I mean, it's still keyword based, a lot of things, but it was really keyword based, just exact match domains and exact match keywords on like every page and stuff like that. Very focused on like, I want to rank for this keyword. Now I think there's a lot more, you're looking at all of the intents, whether it's commercial, informational, and you're trying to target a lot broader of a subject. Really trying to cover like the entire subject matter versus I just want to rank for this one keyword. So I think that's a big thing now with AI, with all the different social media platforms, is really becoming like more of an expert on a broad topic versus just thinking I need to rank for this keyword and this keyword.
When I came into SEO about 20 years ago, it was all about backlinks. You'd pick your keyword for, like what Ryan was saying, an exact match or whatever, but it was all about the backlinks. If you had the person that had the most backlinks ranked for that keyword, and there was no nuance of intent or anything. I always use the example that I had a sports betting blog, and I was I was ranking for just bet and win, and that was for a review for a sports book. Really didn't match that the intention of that keyword, but I got a ton of traffic because I had the most backlinks to a post that mentioned that in the title. Since then, like Ryan said, we've evolved since then. Google and search engines are much smarter. They understand semantic language. They understand what a topic and a lot more, and that's where the intent comes in. They're trying to serve the best quality content for the request that the user typed into their search engine.
Yeah, I remember the days of the keyword meta tag and that actually being an important tag for SEO. So it's funny seeing how it's changed over the years.
There's also an important tag for your competitors to see what you're trying to get.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, great keyword research tag. It's funny because probably shortly after SEO began, it started dying according to everybody out there on the internet. And I see a lot of SEO is dead out there now. With AI, is SEO dead with AI?
Yep, we're done. End the webinar. But no, actually, it's just as important as it ever was. A good SEO is good AI optimization, whatever you want to call it, GEO or AIO or whatever. Search engines use AI uses search engines to learn things and to find things out. We know that searching the internet. It's not going to reinvent the wheel. It's not going to index everything itself. So it needs to have a source of information. So, and then the other thing, the way it's changing is the way people search engines is different than how they search in AI. What I've been seeing a lot more with our clients is the traffic coming from AI is further along in the funnel. They're more the consideration stage, where the awareness was already taken care of in that chat on the AI platform. Then they took the jump to the consideration of now they're looking at for products or services that ChatGPT or another AI recommended in that chat. So, but they're still getting at, you still have to rank well in Google to be able to be found in AI. Ryan, what do you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's just another thing that ties together. I think of like YouTube. When YouTube came around, like most people would agree that it's easier to watch a video than it is to read, a 1,500 or 2,000 word blog post. But, blogging and SEO didn't go away when YouTube came around with video content. So I think AI, like YouTube, like, any social media as well, I think all that stuff just works together. And I think now, like I said earlier, I think it's more important than ever that it all does work together, because, videos show up in search, organic listings influence AI results. All that stuff works together. So I think it's just another place where you can get visibility that, as a business owner, you need to think about, how can I get a piece of that visibility versus, it's replacing something else. It's just something you can add to your repertoire of advertising.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I would
AI, go ahead, Brad.
So what I was going to say is, the one thing with AI is that we do know that it's not only looking at the search engine and searching the internet, that it does have its sandbox and playgrounds that it likes to look at and different things. So it's just that the strategy or the tactics have changed a little bit to get to rank better in AI. But everything that we've been doing for SEO still is you still want to rank. You still want to rank number one or the top of Google for a keyword, regardless of AI or not.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can actually ask ChatGPT, what companies do you recommend for XYZ, and it'll tell you. And if your company's not there, say, why is my company not there? And it'll actually give you some insights into how you can get your company there, which that's something you can't do in Google. Google, why am I not ranking number one? And Google comes back and tells you why. So there's some neat things about that with AI too that can help you build that visibility. So I during the hero mission workshops, I like to talk about learning, passive learning and active learning. And I like to think of SEO as active learning. I'm actually going out there and trying to find a solution to a problem. So how do you guys view intent with keywords, and how do you align that to business objectives?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Every SEO strategy kind of has top of the funnel stuff, which would be, more of like your informational content. And then you work your way down towards the bottom of the funnel, which would be someone like ready to buy or, sign up for your service, whatever it is. So as you're planning your content strategy, you're looking all the way through this funnel. How can we help user that is, at the very top where they're just looking for information? They might not even necessarily know what problem they have yet. They're in information research stage, and then all the way down to, how can we help a customer or target a user that's searching for, I need X product. They know exactly what they want. They're just trying to figure out what's the best way to buy it, or, comparing products. So I think you're always looking at each stage that a user might be in, so you do have to understand the user from that perspective. What are their pain points? What are they looking for? Always thinking of how can we help them find the answer, whether that's information or, the actual product or service. And then as you think of that, you're building out content to answer those questions and solve those problems.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you're using a keyword research tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, you can do your keyword research and find the keywords that your users are searching. And they usually often show the intent as well. But you really want to look at the results, go look at the work, and see what the SERPs are looking like. Understand what kind of pages. If you type something in. Are they all blog posts that are showing there? If so, that means it's informational. Your product page is probably not. It's not a good keyword for your product page because people are obviously looking for information. So it's really, you want to make sure that your page, what you're optimizing, also relates to the search results for that keyword.
Good point. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to take a look at Label Pack Automation. So they volunteered their website for us to do a little bit of an audit. And I have the mission brief up there. So thinking that's the person who's going to be visiting their website. So we're going to take a look at some of the tools that we use. We're going to talk a little bit about things that we can do on the pages to optimize and kind of give some insight into how the sausage is made. So with that, Ryan, I believe you're going first.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So what we have, so this is one of our SEO tools that we use. And so we basically just plug the URL into this audit, and it will spit out, I'm not going to get into too many of the technical details of it, but a whole bunch of things, different errors, warnings, issues throughout the site. And again, a lot of these are more technical, code related, broken links, things like that, versus just like the actual content of the page. So I think this stuff is stuff that gets ignored a lot or brushed over because, it's not the user facing content that you see on the page. But I look at this stuff kind of like, this is like the foundation. Like if your site's not doing well in these areas, it makes it really hard to rank well and grow your site, even if your content is really good. So as we
broken
take
links, especially, it's just seeing all those broken links is like,
So we'll get to some of the ones that so obviously not every business owner is going to have access to a tool like this. I guess side note, if you did want to see yours, let us know, and we can probably get one of these put together for you. But I'll give some kind of specific ones that you could look for, without access to a tool like this. But, as far as us using it, so we'll, like I said, we plug in the site and we'll basically go through each of these all these errors, warnings, notices. And we just kind of, we'll start with cherry picking the ones that we think are most critical. And you just kind of go down the list, based on what we think the impact is going to be. So looking at these, like some of the most important ones we would always look at, internal links are a really big one. And this is one that you could do without the tool. Simply click around your site. And, if you start running into a lot of broken links, this is a big deterrent. This is bad for user experience, but it also hurts, search engines being able to crawl your site from page to page. So broken internal links is one of the bigger ones. And then as we go through, so they're actually in all right shape here. The links are a big one that we would fix. So these are actually two other ones that I would mention, because these are both things that you can see. So malformed URLs, which would be like a page that this has underscores in it. Let's see. So you can see an underscore here versus like a dash. A dash would be, I would say, what would be best practice there. You also don't want like no spaces, but a dash in between the words would always kind of be what you're looking for there. And then the other one was a sitemap. So one tool I think that a lot of business owners may not utilize is just Google Search Console. You can see so much good information in there, from ranking keywords, your traffic, impressions, your average positions. It will even give you a lot of these warnings, if pages aren't indexed for whatever reason. So if you don't have your site set up in Google Search Console, I would definitely do that, like when you get done with this. So then your sitemap, usually this is, if you're on WordPress, like even a WordPress SEO tool will like automatically generate this for you. You just need to submit it to Google Search Console. And basically a sitemap just, it makes it really easy for search engines to see all the pages on your site. And when you add new pages, it kind of, lets it know that there's new content on the site. So then again, as we were going through, and there's a ton of these different warnings and things that can pop up. So some examples here have to do with the amount of code to text, so that would be like a thin page. And that is, again, one you can look at, go to your page. Does it have enough content to be helpful or not? You can kind of eyeball stuff like that. Headings, and we'll talk a little bit about more of this in the kind of the next segment with on-content or on-page content. But, so the ones that I would focus on, kind of the key takeaway here, I would say, is looking for things that are going to hurt user experience. So your broken links, performance things. If you just feel like your site is slow, like if you go to it, especially like on a phone, if you go to your phone and you feel like you're waiting for your site to load, that's something that would need to be fixed. And then those Google Search Console things that I mentioned, submitting a sitemap, making sure your URLs are kind of best practice with the dashes, no underscores, and make sure you have spaces.
Ryan, I have a question for you. The text to HTML ratio, you mentioned about having enough text on the page to be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have, and I know this is like wildly different opinions, but how much text do you think you need how big does your page need to be from an SEO perspective to be valuable?
I would say it needs to have enough to answer the question or solve the query that the user is searching for. As far as a number goes, like, I don't know, like in years past, I've heard numbers like 400 or 500 words on a page. But I think it's really hard to like say a number. I think it really does have to do with, are you answering the question? Are you solving the problem? Are you giving the user everything they need to like make the decision of whatever the goal of this page is? So I also, there was a time in SEO where like people were just churning out like 3,000 word blog posts just because, you're just trying to rank. So it's like, I just need more content. Like, I also don't think that is necessarily a good thing either. So as far as like a number, I feel like that's really hard. I would say you need at least like a few hundred words to be able to really like, answer a question and provide enough information. but you also don't need to have, 2,000 words of text on every page you have. So I think it goes back to, like I said, answer the question, solve the problem, solve
for
the
the
pain
user.
point,
Yep.
You can also, if you're really curious, look at the competition. Look at the top ranking pages. If your top ranking pages have 2,000 words, a 500 word post is not going to outrank. You have to be as good or better than the top ranking pages. So I like to look at the search results and look at those as our competition. What do they have there? Okay, that helps inform me of the content that I have. I've seen stats in the last couple of years that show that like most of the pages that rank on the first page of Google have over 1,000 or 2,000 words on them. Now, I would never use that as a guideline, but it just goes to show you that 20 years ago when I got into this, it was 500 words. You had to have at least 500 words, and that's what you would write. Now it just goes to show that you have to be able to fully cover the topic that your users are typing for, that you're ranking for, and that goes to also looking at your competition. Are they ranking with 500 words? Then you can. If they have 2,000 words, or they have a big post, a big page, you need to replicate that or make it better.
Great. Yeah, I think with those long posts, you're probably answering a broader topic too. So it probably depends a lot on the keyword strategy on how long that post should have to be too.
And one other thing I say about the SEMrush report he's showing here is also this is how Google and search engines see your website. It's the technical side, the way they're crawling it. So the users are seeing it from, obviously their screens, but the bots that are coming to crawl your website, they're seeing the code behind it. So that's the importance of this as well, is allowing the search engines to be able to crawl that and index it better. And that usually then focus on, like what Ryan said, ones that actually do user experience as well first.
All right. Anything else exciting in here, Ryan?
No, I think that sums it up. And then, like I said, if you do want to see a report for your own site, let us know.
All right. That's going to take us over to our top pages and drill down, which I think, Brad, you're running that if I'm correct.
Yeah. So, looking at Label Pack, this is just going to be a little live kind of audit here. It's a good, clean website. That's the first thing I'm noticing, which is great. I like the menu here. It's nicely organized. You have some decent keywords. We can probably add a little bit more, some keyword rich titles here, but otherwise it's nice and gets the users to where they want. Looking at the hero section here, the first thing I will notice is that this text is not is part of the image, so it's not indexed. You can't index that, or it can't be indexed, and it's not being read. That's usually where we want the H1 tag to be, and what the H1 tag is, that's the title of your page, and that's you want that to kind of match. You want your core keyword to be in there, or semantically be inserted there. Looking at their website here, this is the H1. Choose your labeling style. So not exactly the best H1 for this page. It's title tag. You have automated labeling systems. So you kind of want to be playing off of your title tag with your H1 as well. The other thing I would say is with this H1 is your labeling style. Is that the first thing when a person's coming to your homepage, what they're asking, what is my labeling style? Or are they coming really to search for equipment or your products and offerings? So what I would be doing here is moving these sections up, the core competencies, which talks about the products and services, up to here, and then that would make sense from a how you would change your H1. Your H1 now would make sense about your automated labeling systems. And then also thinking about these core competencies, I love how they're here. They're cleanly organized, but they don't click anywhere. So there's pages up here that these can click over to. So let's help the user out. Let's help them navigate the site where they want to go. But not only that, if you make this a link, this has a nice keyword in it, automatic labeling systems. I'm sure it has some nice search volume. Having that linking over to another page is showing Google or search engines how relevant those texts are to the page that it's coming from. So the internal links and using the keywords to links are important as well. Keep going down here. Some nice trust things here. Looks like we have some testimonials. You definitely want to add that stuff that shows trust in your company. Those are some good signals there. And then at the bottom here, we have that ribbon for the blogs, which I think is really nice. So that allows the user to find related content on just their general aspect of labeling here. And it allows some nice SEO links from the homepage to blog posts. So there's some nice SEO benefit in there as well. So I'm going to take a look. Speaking of the blog, I'm going to take a look at the blog as well. Blogging in general is very important. That's where you get that informational content out there. So that's the content that people are searching for from an awareness standpoint. That's a lot of times the stuff that AI and search engines are also looking to see if you're an authority of a subject. If you're an authority of a subject, you're going to have a lot of good content around the different niche topics within your industry. So looking here, they got quite a few here. I think the images are a little wide for this compared to what the title is, but that's a visual thing that's not hurting anything. The one thing I noticed off the bat is like these first few blog posts is print and apply labeling, print and apply, having all those into the same title. If you're trying to rank for print and apply labeling, you're competing against each other with those blog posts. So it might make a sense to combine some of those. How they work, which is right for you, can probably go into a combined blog post. That way you have all that information in one generalized topic. And then this other one, this reduces shipping errors and chargebacks. My question to that, is it really a blog post about print and apply labeling, or is it really about reducing shipping errors and chargebacks? So getting rid of the print and apply could just allow you to get that keyword right in the front and get more traffic to that blog post. And then looking into this blog post, got the H1 at the top, which is great. The nice image, an image right there. It's conveying exactly what the post is supposed to. So we're coming into it. We're using H tags here, which is great. But they are H3 tags. So typically how you would structure this is your H1 is your main topic, your title. Then you have your H2, which is a main topic inside your title. Then an H3 is a example or, within that H2. Then you would come back into the next H2, then into an H3 and such. So I would change these H3s to H2s. And these are H4s. I'd make them H3s. So it's really the structure of the site. The other thing I'm noticing from this blog post is that it has all the hallmarks of a ChatGPT blog post. It has dividers here. It's using a emoji or an emblem like in front of everything. And if anybody's played with ChatGPT enough, it loves some of these ones to use regularly. And then the real way to find out, and this is what Google and search engines are looking at, is you can see this data start in the code. That means it was directly copied paste from ChatGPT or AI software, because that's the code from there. Google knows that, so when Google's crawling this site, there could be a penalty involved there, because it's looking at that of being made up content and not an actual authority content from a writer or from the company itself. If you're a company, why do you have to have ChatGPT write your content, is what it could be saying. Now, I'm not saying don't use ChatGPT to help with content. Ryan and I are huge believers in AI can help us create content, better content. What you don't want to do is copy paste it directly from ChatGPT. You want to give that user, that human, once over, be the editor of it, change it out, make sure it's in your voice. Would you really talk the way that ChatGPT wrote it? Correct it. Is it correct? AI is not infallible. It makes mistakes all the time. So make sure that it's correct, but it's always about the combined intelligence is how we always talk about it. It's AI plus human intelligence that makes the content even better. I did notice one other time. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, looking at this site, it's interesting because you think about some of those label application methods that we saw on the homepage. And like, I'll take bottle labeling as an example. If you build out your mission brief for an engineer who's buying print and apply for bottles, like they don't care if you're doing wraps, if you're doing corrugated or what, they really want the bottle. So
I think Rob froze there. Technical difficulties there.
But yeah, whatever the keyword would be for bottle labeling, right? Then you build out that page, your number one page, like we talked about before in previous webinars for bottle labeling, and then you're matching your equipment to bottle labeling so that engineer can see everything that you offer for bottle labeling, and your keyword research can align with that, and your blog content can align with that too.
Yeah. And this blog post here gives a good example of no H tags. We have the H1 up here. Another key indicator that this was copy paste, keyword focus, something we would never put in a blog post. But also the thing is, these aren't H tags, right? So what is offline printing, common uses? So they should be H2s right here. But it's just, if we look at the code, it's just bold content. So SEO structure is very important. It helps Google and the search engines to understand your content and how it's structured and why it's important. So using those H tags correctly is something that's very important there. That's all I had from those two quick audits. Rob, any other questions or comments?
No, I think that was really good. For you mentioned about the ChatGPT. That kind of takes us into the next section where we were going to start talking about ChatGPT and SEO. Ryan, you were going to talk about what was your takeaway with the ChatGPT?
Yeah, I wanted to hit one thing real quick on the content,
Sure.
Like, because it seems so simple, but I see it not happen like so often. When you're making like a page, whether it's service, blog, whatever, there are like the critical areas, which would be like your URL, your H1, like Brad said, and then your meta title. And like, obviously you need good content throughout the page, but like in those three areas, it should be abundantly clear, like what the specific topic of this single page is, and it doesn't have to be, again, you don't have to like hammer the same keyword over and over and over again throughout the whole page, but like in those critical areas, the URL, the H1, and in your meta title, like you should definitely have at least some variation of it.
Yes.
Whatever the primary topic is there. And it should be like super clear on every single page that you want to rank for. Because if it's not super clear there to like, certainly to a reader, like it's not going to be very clear to a search engine. So like whenever you're making a page, make sure you have those 3 areas at least at a minimum, but like it's got to be there in those
Everybody
3.
on the webinar right now should go to their home page and see if their title tag has the word home in it. So
All right.
if your title tag on the home page has the word home in it, give us a call.
Ryan got me thinking a little more. Looking at the URL for the blog post, there's some gibberish, if you will, at the beginning. So it has some percent signs, EF percent signs, and so we would want to clean that out of there. And what you want to do is have your keyword closest to the beginning of that slug as possible. The other thing I didn't touch on is internal links. Your blog post should link out to different pages on your website. If there's a core product or offering that this is related to, you want to link to that. That builds a cluster of content around that product or service. But also, don't be afraid to link to non-competing websites, like authority websites. They could be industry websites that pertain or relevant to the topic. Maybe it's if you have a stat and you want to cite that stat, you link to where you found that stat on like I said, an industry website, or you don't want to do it to your competitor, obviously, but any kind of authoritative website that makes sense. You want to outlink to that as well.
Yeah, is there a CTA on that blog post? Every blog post not only links inside, but make sure you have an actual call to action on your blog posts that are
and make it stand out.
Yeah.
And also make it stand out. So like this one is a link down at the very bottom, and it's request a free consultation, but it's at the very bottom. It looks like the rest of the text, so it's probably getting lost for the people that do read down that far. So make it a button, make it a box, or make it, however you have to do it, make it stand out so you're leading the person to the next step that they have to do. Make it actionable too. Make the CTA actionable, what they're going to get out of that. And also think about the where is the user in the journey right now? Is the consultation the next step? Is that the right step after reading this blog post, or is a checklist better? They really need a downloadable of a checklist, or is some kind of calculator that allows them to figure out the right machine to purchase for labeling so many bottles in an hour. And I'm just making things up there, but stuff like that helps the user move to that next stage.
Yeah, get the CTA at the top of the page too. I like that because probably
in the middle,
only half of the people scroll that far down, if that many. The download is great. And I would even say you don't have to gate the download. Really what you want is to take up real estate in their mailbox or on their download drive. Have something there so that they can find it whenever they need it and don't have to necessarily remember where your website is or what that blog post was that they read. Now they have it on their equipment.
Right.
Yeah, I think that goes back. One last quick thing goes back to being helpful. Like once you've got the user on your site, obviously, like we've been saying, you got to have those clear calls to action, visible, top, bottom, middle. Make sure the links work. I was just clicking through, and I found there's one CTA on one of these blog posts. It was one button, and it happens to link to a 404, a broken page. So. Don't squander those opportunities. Obviously, it affects conversions, but one thing in the SEO world that's a lot different now is your ranking is affected a lot more by like the engagement metrics of your site. How long do people stay? Do they click to other pages? How many pages do they convert? That stuff can make a difference in where your site ranks. So like Rob was saying, even if it's not gated, if it's just they're clicking a button, they're doing something, they're going to another page, like that can now affect, if everyone just comes to your site and then leaves right away, over time, search engines will just assume, well, this site's not that helpful. So you'll start to lose position. So those calls to actions are really, really important.
And within the content too, make the content resourceful and valuable. You know, it has to answer. It has to help the hero move on their mission. Right. It might not solve their mission for them, but it helps them get some more information about that mission that they're trying to complete, and they can move down the road closer to completing their mission.
And if you do have a download offer, include a CTA in your download offer for whatever the next step is in the process. So you're continually trying to add value throughout the whole customer journey.
Yep.
All right. Good stuff. Chat GPT, Ryan.
Yeah. So Chat GPT is so cool now. Really, I mean, any AI platform, but so here we're looking at Chat GPT if you've never used it. You know, so how can you actually use this to help you out? So for example, let's say I need an automated labeling system. We'll see what it says. So you can obviously use this for research, you know, to see what's showing up in here. Can you tell me a bit about the exact use case? So let's say I need a semi-automatic. Let's see what the exact term would be for one of these. So what I would be looking for as far as answers go. So obviously you're looking for, you know, is it mentioning brands? And then, you know, obviously you're looking for your own brand. You're looking at if it's mentioning a competitor, but also I would be looking at like the type of information it's returning, because you can get a ton of good ideas for content. So, you know, before it even starts mentioning, like it does provide some actual products here, but it gives you some ideas of the information that the user might be looking for, but also that the AI is actually looking for, you know. So it's going, what is a semi-automatic label applicator? So if this were me, you know, I would have either, you know, certainly mentioned on a page, maybe an entire blog post about what it is, what they do, you know, basically filling the needs of all this background information, you know, questions to ask. You know, so it is basically, I'm looking at this like, is this content on my site somewhere where obviously a user could find it helpful, but also in terms of like sourcing the AI for information. So you can get a ton of good ideas that way. And then, you know, obviously, is your product showing up? If it's not, you know, why? So then I might go through some of these and, you know, see how their pages look. So these are just basic product pages. Are there elements on these pages that aren't on your site? You know, you're basically just comparing. And then, like we talked about earlier, I mean, you can simply ask it, you know, why did you show these and not my page? You can even plug in, like I said, why not show information from this page? You know, and you can just keep going and going and going, and it'll tell you, you know, I thought this one was better for X reason or Y, or this had this. And you can basically just keep going and start really honing in on what's on your page or what isn't on your page. The other thing that is super helpful on these are the actual sources. So let's see, this one is not. So if I'm ever trying to like rank a page, one thing that I'll do right away from the beginning is go through all of these citations. And basically these are the pages that the AI went to source all of the information. You know, and obviously you're going to see a lot of like competitors in here, but I would also be looking for things like best of lists, you know, or like other blogs that they may not actually be selling the product, but you know, it's like relevant in the industry, a blogger or a directory. And then I'm basically going to, wherever, if it's cited here, I'm going to try to get my site listed on them, whether it's through a blog, you know, like a guest post, you know, or if it's a citation, you're like making your profile there, your business profile. If it's a best of list, you know, simply reach out to them and say, hey, I saw you have this best of list. I wondered, you know, is there some way we could work together or whatever? because this is where the AI is actually pulling the information. So that I think the citations are probably one of the best things about ChatGPT and the other AI platforms is you can just see where they're pulling their information, and it tells you, I need this type of content. This is what I'm sourcing.
Ryan, we got a really relevant question from Deborah.
Yeah.
If ChatGPT has misrepresented the product or service, is there a way to correct that?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that does happen. We run into that with clients where, ChatGPT will say, well, we thought this was more of, their niche was like this, and it was maybe a smaller niche than they really want to be known for or something like that. I think what you would start by doing is ask it, why do you think that? So in this client's case, it had to do with, they had a lot of like testimonials and case studies from like one or two industries, but not really anything from their other industries. And those industries were like listed on the site, but it didn't have the same effect given, you've got one where you've got whatever, 5-10 testimonials and case studies, and then these other ones just kind of have nothing. So I think typically if it does have some sort of perceived idea of your brand, usually there's a reason for it, and it'll just tell you what it is. If you say, well, that's not really what we do, or that's not what we want to be known best for, like, why do you think that's what we do? Just ask ChatGPT, like, why do you think that, or where did you get that information? And a lot of times, even if it's something off of your site, whether it's, we see it in like old directory listings that just, they got populated somehow, some way along the line, and they just haven't been updated in like years. You might have to go to this directory and like claim the business profile and update the information. But that's again why I say I think some of this stuff is so much more fun, I guess, than like organic search. Is you can just ask it and it'll tell you, well, here's why. And it might be some wording on your site. Like I said, it could be, maybe the wording of testimonials or your Google reviews. That's often a big source. Like if you have a Google business profile, just the wording in your reviews. If you've got like, 50 reviews that talk about one service, then it's going to think that's your thing. But if you want to be known for other things, then you need to either get more reviews for that or make it a point to say like, if you got this service, maybe mention it in your review or, something like that. But to answer the question, I think you just ask it and usually it'll just tell you.
Yep.
I see with ChatGPT asking it those types of questions, I see it referring a lot to directory sites again, like G2, Clutch, just the bigger directory sites. So I'm feeling like that is becoming more of an important thing to look at now from an AI perspective.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's where it's getting its information from. So that's why I said, those sources are so important. Like you got to be where it's sourcing its information from.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, those are trusted sites too, right? So it's going to trust the information there. It's going to trust the reviews on those sites. Therefore, you want to be there and maybe even have some kind of review campaign going on, so you get pushed up there, pushed up in the rankings on those review sites more too. The one thing I would say about the review sites, though, is there's also each review site has its own audience. So it may make sense to change your messaging. Some of them are for just the regular business owner. Other ones are for tech savvy people. So the message could change, and you can find that out. Again, ChatGPT will tell you what's the target audience for those directories. And so if you do want to change your messaging a little bit, you can. And ChatGPT can help you with changing that messaging around a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just playing around here. It's just quick example. So, it asked, I can take those models and compare them, pick out the best match for your product, round bottles, box, whatever. So I just said, I have round bottles, what would be best? And it gave an answer, which it pulled from the LP Automation site. And then it gives some more information, private features and things, again, pulled from LP Automation. Then we get down here to product suggestions. And let's see, I don't think any of these came directly from the LP automation site. So despite, the informational stuff being available, it's still not recommending the products. So that would be an instance, like if I were doing an optimization project for this, I would now dig in a lot more into like, okay, so you're finding the information you need on the site, but you're still not recommending, my product. Like, why is that? And then, eventually, obviously, you gotta find the answer to that, and you got to dig deeper to find that. But that's kind of how I would use it, to determine, do I need to add some information? Do I need to add blog content? Do I need to, build backlinks and citations somewhere? Like, where's this disconnect where you're finding the information you need, as far as features, as far as, applications that our products are good for. You're finding that information, but you're still not recommending our product. So that is kind of how you can use it to kind of fill that void and connect the dots. So you show up more here where, and it's where it goes from just informational to now you're showing up, in commercial results as well.
Excellent. All right.
Another thing, Rob, real quick about ChatGPT that kind of goes into what I was talking about with H tags, title tags, and such. You can use ChatGPT to help you with those. If you have your title tag and your H1, you can feed it to ChatGPT and ask them if these are optimized. Especially if you know the keyword. So, and you can ask it, it'd give me an optimized H1 meta title and meta description. It'll spit it out for you as well.
Yeah, it does do a nice job of being able to kind of give you strong text, but to the point earlier, you just got to be careful not to use everything it gives you verbatim,
right?
So it doesn't scream AI generated.
Right. The ChatGPT loves its M dashes, some different wordings that it does. So those are some hallmarks of AI. But it at least spreads it out. And as a business owner or marketing manager, you need to fix a page, and the SEO tags are the first thing you're going to. ChatGPT can cut that task down to within minutes instead of a half hour.
The other thing I like to do with ChatGPT is ask it to, when it writes the content, to write it in a logical way with an emotional hook, or just you can get it to tie in pain, benefit, logic, and emotion kind of feels to the content too, and that just helps the readability and the impact of that text to your audience too.
Yep.
So yeah, ChatGPT is an awesome tool. All right. Anything else on ChatGPT? We can move into the panel Q&A unless you guys have anything else.
I'll give one more thing quick. Like my two things I would do like today after this is done. I would find like your 5 or 10 whatever most important like keywords that you would want to show up for, and search for them. And then I would go into the sources and I would find, like I said before, wherever it's pulling that information from, if it's other blogs, if it's directories, and I would write those into a spreadsheet and I would reach out to all of them or claim my profile on whatever the website is. Especially important for like a local business, but it works for any business. And then the other one kind of related to what Deborah was asking, like just plug your URLs in and ask it to analyze it and see what it says and see what it thinks. And if it's incredibly misaligned on like, your brand's biggest focus or what you want to be known for or what you do, like there's probably something that you can do to change that right on your website.
So SEO is definitely a foundational marketing channel, and we could probably spend an hour on this next question, but talk a little bit about how SEO impacts other marketing channels. So it's not it's not necessarily just about organic rankings, but it plays with other marketing channels too.
I mean, I always say that SEO and keywords research itself is the foundation of all marketing, because you're finding the keywords, the words that your users are using, right? These are the words that they're typing into Google. These are the words that when they're scrolling down Facebook, if they see that in a post, they might stop. It's the words that if you put it into a subject line of an email, that's going to give them pause and, oh, I want to read this this email. So to me, it's the foundation of anything you have. I mean, it goes to offline too. If you have a brochure, you want to use the keywords, the words that your heroes are using, because those are the ones that are going to resonate with them and have them stop or pause when they see your material.
Yeah, if you understand the hero, you understand the mission, the SEO and keyword research is like all the vernacular and everything that ties all of that, ties you to them, right? I mean, that's right. What the keyword research is. It pulls you into them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I think exactly that, like between like paid ads and SEO, like, I mean, you can always kind of play with those keywords back and forth. If there's an ad that's performing really well in terms of conversions, like a paid ad, you know, there might be a topic in there that maybe you don't really cover, you know, on its own, maybe on your site, you know, so maybe there's a blog post that you could make on a similar topic to an ad that's performing really well. But also, and especially more nowadays with how people talk to AI, like, you know, where it was a specific keyword in the past, now people have more of a conversation, or even like through voice. So I think being able to research in a place like Reddit, where, you know, it's just, or a forum where it's just people talking and, you know, uncovering, you know, maybe a different way that a user is talking about your service, or talking about, you know, a pain point they have, where it's not an obvious, you know, I need a label applicator. Like, I don't know, you know, they say something else, you know. So I think using, you know, AI and using, you know, social media and, you know, something like Reddit to really figure out how people are talking about your product or service. I think you can use that a lot in SEO now, to at least, you might not need a whole page or whatever about it, but to talk more like they do within your content.
So other than ChatGPT, what is your favorite SEO tool?
Probably, I mean, I use Search Console every day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no like a better place to just get the actual data for your site. You know, everything else is kind of pulling it from somewhere. It's just Search Console that's the actual data. So, I mean, I probably use Search Console the most. But I don't know if you'd call Reddit an SEO tool, I guess, but I use Reddit all the time now too. I love Reddit. You get so many cool insights from there. And I think it's stuff like that that can separate your content a lot now, because everybody's content will be the same if they don't try, because everybody's going to use AI, and it's just, we're all going to be using the same AI content unless you make it a point to make it, you know, a little bit better somehow. So I think, you know, a place like that, I mean, I consider Reddit an SEO tool, just because it's where I find information from.
Yeah, Reddit's a great place for discussion. Going back to the label applicators, where your label applicator's not showing up, but the competitors is, you could take one of those competitor applicators and yours to Reddit and do a comparison. You know what I mean? And try to start a conversation around that. Now you're associating your labeler with this competitive labeler, and then ChatGPT will inevitably see that. Hopefully,
you can tell ChatGPT or whatever to search Reddit, because Reddit is indexed. So I do that every day too. You know, ask ChatGPT to research your brand in Reddit and see if you show up anywhere. You know, that's another good one. You can find places where people are talking about your brand in Reddit, and then go there and comment yourself, you know.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about ChatGPT. Sharon has a question. What's your opinion on Microsoft Copilot, or do we have one?
I haven't used it much myself, but I see it coming up in stats when I'm reviewing AI traffic for clients. I've seeing conversions. So my opinion on all of these platforms, they're all fine. Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. It's going to come down to user preference. I do think, however, some do things better than others. Claude is known for coding. So you go to that. ChatGPT seems to be good for a little bit of everything. I was using Claude for the longest time because it was more conversational. ChatGPT caught up to that. Perplexity is a new, not a new one, but they're actually having a browser that's going to be an AI agent as well. So and they're looking at everything happens in a browser type thing. So I think there's no right or wrong on them right now, but it's going to be interesting to see which ones stick around for the long haul, and also do they go into specialties? Is one a more of a browser model versus an app model? Does one focus on code versus something else?
It's interesting. I have a Copilot icon in my Windows taskbar, and I honestly don't think that I've ever clicked it. I go straight to Gemini or I go straight to ChatGPT. Those are the two that I use more than anything. I have a Galaxy.ai account, which ties a whole bunch of different AI tools together, but I'm not a huge fan of how they're it's neat because you get a lot of AI imagery and Gemini and ChatGPT and Claude and all that in one tool, but it limits them too. So it's a little bit of a weird app. We got another question from Sharon. How much content should we put out weekly to be effective? Blogs, social media, email blasts, etc.
So I can't speak as much to email blasts. I would say that has more to do with, you would look at your open rates and things, but I'm not an email expert, so I'll kind of pass on that one. But the other ones, I would say as much as you can, while you're still providing good content. I mean, you can't write too many blogs as long as, again, they're good. You don't just want to be putting out a blog every day just because you think you should be putting a blog out every day. Do what you can to make the best blog. But I mean, if you could do, even one a week, I think is like a good target. One a month is kind of, in my opinion, would be like, I would say like that would be like the minimum, to where it's like, is this site still active on their blog? So I don't know, that's kind of like in my head, it's kind of arbitrary, but like one blog post a week, I think would be a good target. If you can do more, more is better. Again, if you're writing good content. Social media, I don't know, not my expertise again, but I feel like you can't post too much on social media.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about the content itself is it comes down to how much you can write that's valuable and resourceful. Every industry is going to be a little different. Some don't move as fast as others, so maybe weekly doesn't make sense. Or you don't have the resources to do them weekly. I agree with at least monthly, so you could at least add and the site stays fresh a little bit. There has been talk more that AI does look at freshness a little more than what Google's algorithms have in the past. At one point, I've trimmed blog posts and done better in the rankings, but AI definitely wants to see. I think it uses a quantity factor to kind of see if you're authority on the topic as well. But I think staying fresh on it is another thing. If you have old content, so this is the other thing. It's not only about making new content; it's about updating old content too. So previous stuff that you've written, the stats that are in there could be outdated. So update that. If there's new information that came out since you wrote a blog post, update it as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all new content. It could be a new content with some updates as well.
Yeah.
Blaine actually went to Blaine actually went to a conference not too long ago. Who's one of our partners, and it was Impact, the Sheridan agency. And they were talking that, once a week, probably more than that, is ideally what you want to do is put out content, and they really stress video, and actually Sharon asked another question about how important is video to SEO. They stress the importance of doing video, and it doesn't have to be professional video. It's just it has to be relatable video. Everything from shorts to long form. That's amazing content to have that does provide SEO value too.
It's also the multimedia side of content, right? Not everybody wants to read. Some people want to watch a video, but also if it's a related video, that like a niche subject from your H1 of your main topic, that's a great way of giving them some more detail about something as well. But also charts and graphs. It's really that multimedia experience. I know there's stats out there that say that the more media that you have on a blog post, the better you can rank. So I'm not sure if there's a direct relationship to video to rankings SEO, but if it's making your content more useful, more valuable, and the people are staying on it longer, people are staying on your site longer and visiting other pages on your site, that could indirectly affect your rankings, therefore have a positive SEO benefit.
Well, you see a lot of video rankings now, so just make sure you have the schema set up properly for the video on your page too.
Yeah, so if people are searching video, I mean, that's another way of getting people to your website or to your video, as well as having it marked up correctly. And if people are searching specifically for videos on something, which typically is going to be a how-to topic. Me personally, I'm not watching a video unless I need to know the steps and I need to see the steps. Otherwise, I want to read it. But some people want to watch video all the time, and the way we're going, I know my son, all he does is watch YouTube videos. So, video is a lot more, that is the content right now that some people are digesting more than words.
Yeah, I think video is crucial. I mean, AI can understand the content of a video. So I think having a video is important for AI results, but like you guys mentioned, that shows up in itself in organic search, but it also enhances the content you already have. I also think when it comes to like making new content, I mean, you can repurpose a video into a blog post, into 5 social media posts, and into an email newsletter. So I think if you have the capability to make like good video, or like, I don't know, you're podcasting with other people in your industry or whatever, something like that, like that can kind of be like the top of your content chain, I guess, because like I said, I mean, you can turn a video into blogs, into social media, into email. So I think video serves a lot of purposes. Plus, you can't fake a video. ChatGPT content is ChatGPT content, but like a video is you. So.
Right.
We have another question here.
I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, but if you Googled it, it would pop up. There are definitely.
And there's more and more every day.
Yeah, you can add, captions, all that stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One other question that I had, from a company perspective, at what point should a company have a dedicated SEO person or an agency dedicated toward SEO for their business? When do they know they need that?
When do they know they need it?
Yeah.
Your SEO traffic's low. If you're paying for more traffic than you're getting organically, I would say you need some SEO help. Excuse me. I hate seeing clients that are paying more for traffic than they're getting from organic. To me, that means they're missing out on something if you have to pay for more traffic. Now, that could be also a strategy for some businesses. So that comes down to their business strategy. But in general, I think your organic traffic should be your top traffic channel.
Yeah, I would say, if like, to go back to Search Console, if you're looking at your Search Console, and it's listing your keywords where you're getting impressions or clicks, And like your brand, brand is usually going to be at the top no matter what. But like if it's almost all brand or all brand and there's nothing about, you're not ranking or generating traffic for like your service or your product keywords, it's just your brand name, then I would say you need SEO help, because you're just missing out on opportunities is all. Obviously it's good for people to know your brand, but if they don't know your brand, that means they're not finding you. So I think if you were looking for like a number, that's where I would go. Like, how effective is my site at generating traffic? And that's a place you could go for free, and it would tell you exactly how effective it is.
Yeah, great point. And with the paid search, I mean, yeah, I like paid search, but boy, I'd like to have a paid ad and a ranking 2 or 3 organic ad, and just double the real estate I have on that page, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I think paid search is kind of essential as well, but I know a lot of people, like, how often do you search for something and then you just skip right down past all the sponsored, anything that says ad or sponsored, like just scroll right past. Like I do that all the time. I go right to the organic listings. So, paid certainly has a place and is super important, but I think a lot of people search like that. They skip right past the ad. So if you're only doing ads, then you're never showing up for a lot of people.
Yeah, agreed. All right. I think we're a couple minutes over our 1 hour, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. We do have another webinar coming out next month. We'll send out information on that. I don't have a good grasp of what the time is and everything, so I didn't prepare that, but I'll make sure that we get that out to you guys if you're interested. It's another SEO webinar. So we will also have this recorded. It's actually going to be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on our Facebook too, so you can view it there if you want to go back and re-listen to anything or share it with anybody. And other than that, we're going to wrap up. Everybody have a good weekend and a good rest of your day. And thank you, Brad and Ryan.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.